Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to do a quick little sit down video talking to you all about, I guess, my expectations versus reality of moving here to Naples, Italy, as well as some of the culture shocks that I encountered, um, some of the good, the bad, the ugly. So I intend to be fully transparent. Again, I want to give the disclaimer that this is my experience. So there are others that may have moved here and had a wonderful experience. There may be others where it wasn't so great. I don't think my experience moving here was like the worst. However, it was a pretty rough adjustment. Some background, I did visit Rome, Italy in 2020, February of 2020, through like early March. So remember, 2020 was, you know, the big pandemic year. Um, and days after, returning back home to the United States, after my visit to Rome, Rome actually shut the country down. Like people were on lockdown, could not leave their homes. Like it was intense because at the time I believe they had like the highest numbers in the world. So I came here right before that. So my experience in visiting Rome before all that occurred was lovely. Honestly, Rome is a beautiful city. Loved it then, still love it now. A lot of like the major tourist attractions you go to, like Trevi Fountain, the Colosseum, and things like that, they were not overcrowded. They weren't super packed. It was a nice, intimate experience. I got to go and sit down in restaurants and explore like the different cuisine from throughout Italy, or at least in Rome. Um, so, like, my first experience in Italy was definitely very mild, very tame, probably much different than most people's experiences in visiting Italy. So, that's what I kind of had to go off of. The only negative thing I could have said about that visit, or the only thing that I guess was shocking at the time, was just driving. I didn't drive here. I would take taxis, Ubers everywhere. I did take a bus once going from like some historic monument to like another part of the city or whatever. And that was an interesting experience in itself. But besides that, um, pretty tame, really mild. Like driving is a little bit intense. There's cobblestone, roads are tiny, a little bit chaotic, but even in being a passenger, it's different than driving for one. And then two, that experience in a car in Rome versus my day to day experience driving in Naples are two completely different things. Like, then I wasn't scared, but when I first moved here, oh my God, like, oh, scary. And then the whole bus riding experience. Like I said, it was a super crowded bus. Um, when my stop came up or whatever, I was with a friend and he's like, "This is our stop. Come on, come on." And I couldn't, like, it was just so crowded and like we were all jam packed. So my friend had to like yank me through this crowd of people and they were not happy. They were like, "Excuse me," like cussing us out and stuff. But I was saying excuse me and trying to get out the way. And yeah. Anywho, so yeah, that was my first experience in visiting Italy. So I didn't come in completely blind. However, Naples is its own beast. So the first thing, driving. I arrived here in Naples, Italy, November 17th, 2022. Moving here. And my company provided me with a rental car. So, fortunately, thank you, God, for Dave. He met me at the airport, helped me with my luggage, showed me where the um, car rental services and things like that were. And, you know, he asked where my hotel was, and then he put it in GPS and kind of guided me to it. If it were not for him, I would have turned around, went right back to the airport, cried, and begged my job to send me home. Because the drive was so intense, especially in downtown Naples. I still to this day refuse to drive in downtown Naples unless it's like I'm going straight to a specific location that location has like private parking, and there has to be like so many boxes, like checks ticked off as to like where it will be less stressful and seamless. Like downtown Naples and Vomero are two parts of the city I like. It has to be an emergency for me to decide to drive to. I remember my first night driving. Like I said, fortunately, my coworker was guiding me, but like it was damn near bumper to bumper, and that's like a common thing here in driving in those tight streets and spaces and neighborhoods and things like that. Um, People just kind of walk out into the road. Uh, I remember anytime there was a light that I would need to stop at, um, there would be like window washers, and like they don't typically, at least they weren't really asking me if they could wash my car window. They were like just slapping the little sponge and water on my window, scaring the living daylight out of me, and then proceeding to clean it, and then like asking for money. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know what you're saying. Secondly, I didn't ask for this. Third, like it was kind of scary and aggressive. So driving here is intense. Again, I avoid specific neighborhoods because of how intense it can be. I'm a bit more used to it now and I know what to expect. So it's not as bad, but it is still probably one of the worst places I've ever driven to, or even been a passenger in the seat. In addition to that, something else about driving. Oh, my typical commute to work is it's not as bad. I've learned to leave the earlier the better. Um, Typically, I try to be at work between like 7:30, 8ish, whatever, because the traffic tends to get bad closer to 8 a.m. So like once you hit like the 8:30ish mark, that's when it gets pretty bad. It can get bumper to bumper. I may have footage that I'll insert, so you guys can see how bad it gets in the morning. Because you'll just be cruising along, and people don't like typically, ease on their brakes. They're like, oh, okay, I see traffic lights. Let me, you know, start slowing down. No, they'll boom, just slam them brakes. So I have a lot of coworkers, a lot of friends that have been into accidents and fender benders because of situations like that. Fortunately, I have not had one. I don't want to, don't intend to. I'm going to just try to avoid it as much as possible. Also, keep in mind, it does rain a lot here. This particular winter is not as bad, but usually winter, like no, or yeah, November to about February is like rainy season. So like it felt like it rained every single day from the day I arrived last year to shortly after my birthday, which was February 28th. It even rained all throughout May, which I was told was not normal. That's another thing. The weather definitely was unexpected. I hope I'm not all over the place, but yeah, um, the weather was unexpected because again, I had visited in February in 2020, and I remember like maybe a couple rainy days, but I remember wearing like a dress, skirts, maybe some Doc Martens, a hat, like, and light jackets. I wasn't wearing full blown coats. So I was kind of expecting that here. Um, this winter in particular is much closer to that first experience I had in 2020 visiting Rome. But my first winter here last year was like so miserable because it was cold, it was rainy, it was gloomy. It was typical Europe that I've come to realize. But it's weird to say like the weather here reminds me of home Cincinnati, Ohio, and not because of like good weather, bad weather, whatever, but just the inconsistency. Even last year, people were like, "Oh yeah, come April, it's super sunny every day. You should be fine." Da 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 da. Or I think they said come May, it should be super sunny every day, whatever. April last year was pretty warm, warmer than usual. People were like, this is weird. This is not like it, but I'm enjoying it. Summer came early. I told my family, yeah, May would be a good time to visit. Everyone's saying the weather's perfect. They came to visit and it rained the entire time they were here. Sorry, Mama. Sorry, Gigi. That wasn't normal weather for us. But yeah, it rains, and I'll insert some footage of like how intense the rain can get. Um, Fortunately, though, it doesn't snow here. I was told it's not a common thing. It's rare. I haven't experienced snow here. I'll see snow caps on like the mountains out, further out outside of the city from like my windows and driving and things like that. But that's about it. The closest was one day it did hail here. It wasn't like a hailstorm, but it was just hailing. I remember like being at work and walking inside the building, and I had like these little white balls on me, and they're just dissolving. But that's been the closest thing. So weather has been a huge shock. As much as I would like to say I'm used to it, like I am used to like the gloominess kind of. Um, it's been so inconsistent with what is the norm and what was my first experience, that it has been a bit of a culture shock. But the weather back home is kind of inconsistent too. So that's why I'm like, that's where that comparison comes for me. But I'll take this weather over back home weather because they are currently dealing with a snowstorm and I do not want those problems anymore. um, okay, so we talked about driving, we talked about weather. Another culture shock I'd say is like, I don't know if I want to talk about the food or the personalities first. Also the food. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It really wasn't until I moved here that I found out or realized that what we think is like Italian food back home is like American Italian. It's not like you won't see Parmesan chicken. Fettuccine isn't necessarily like a thing here. Um, Pizza. Of course, pizza originated in Italy. More specifically, it originated here in Naples, Italy. But the gag is, and a lot of people might chew me up for this that like are from other European countries or that are from Italy. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not like Neapolitan pizza. If I have pictures of it, I'll insert it. I've only found one restaurant where I actually like their pizza, but it's a very unique restaurant. They don't do necessarily traditional, they do unique. So that might be why I like it. I do like Italian style pizza, like what I had in Rome, and I'll insert pictures of the two. But Neapolitan pizza to me is a lot more soggy and just, I don't like it. Not a fan. Sorry. Mm-mm. But I do still recommend that everyone, like if you're coming to Italy, of course, try the pizza, especially here in Naples because this is where it originated. At least cross that off your bucket list. But me personally, not a fan. And then outside of the pizza and not getting like the traditional dishes, I do still love pasta. So there is a large variety of different styles of pasta that you can get. So food, I do love it. It's just the pizza. It depends on the style of it. Even with certain things like gnocchi has become one of my favorite dishes here. And the thing with gnocchi is they have Sorrento style and then they have regular gnocchi. Regular gnocchi is okay. I love Sorrento style gnocchi because it has so much cheese and like infused in it. A lot of people aren't fans of it, but I love gnocchi. So yeah, but I've explored a few new dishes. I'm not gonna say I'm not a picky eater. I'm picky-ish, but I am open to trying new foods and trying them in various ways. Or once I find what I like, I'll, try it in different facets, try it in different restaurants, whatever, and just explore it within that realm. So the food here is good. It's just different than what I expected. But I do have a few favorites now, like lobster and linguine. Oh, my absolute favorite. Gnocchi, like I said. In the summer, I love to go and like try to find restaurants that have oysters. You'll typically find them in like Capri, Ischia, like closer to the Amalfi Coast. Um, yeah. And so the next point, or culture shock for me, were the attitudes. Granted, I know that the treatment in the day to day is not going to be the same experience when you're a tourist versus living somewhere, right? I was not expecting to be catered to hand and foot. This might even just be like my American entitlements or Western world mentality kicking in. But I think the people are rude. It's weird though. It's so weird because I don't dislike the people. Like it's one of those things where it's just like I think people can be rude, can be kind of aggressive. There are reasons for that, just like yeah, that's a whole nother story. But there are certain reasons why that is kind of the demeanor. And I'm not saying everyone's mean or rude or nasty. It's just kind of like a very aggressive, hostile kind of place, in my opinion. Um, to the point where I had like a bit of a it like I guess it all caught up to me at some point. I guess closer to August throughout the summer, like as I was like getting closer to my 1 year mark here, and I just was just like, I'm tired of this. It's making me aggressive. Like normally I'm a bubbly, cheerful person. I greet everyone. Hey guys, I do sincerely apologize about the abrupt stop on this video. My mic apparently had died in the middle of filming. So what I'm going to do is re-record the second part and go into more details about like the culture shocks and pros and cons of living in Italy. However, since this did happen, I'm going to open up the comments for you guys to ask any questions that you may have about living in Italy or traveling throughout Europe. Um, Definitely take advantage of this opportunity. I plan to post the second part of this, pros and cons video next week. But thank you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
Hurry up.